Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 78. Today, we're getting back with Dr. Kaisa as we do basically a virtual check-in with the famous California doctor from my book, Sleeping with a Stranger. Although Dr. Kaisa was my doctor who helped me identify and heal adrenal issues in 2019, this is the first time she's met with my husband, Brian. Since, thankfully, Brian's body has been healthy for the past few years, he sometimes has flare-ups, and we can't wait to share this conversation with the incredible, intuitive Dr. Kaisa who helps us tweak Brian's wellness routine so he can continue healing. I hope this conversation encourages everyone to listen to your bodies, to consider functional medicine, and to trust yourself when you don't feel your best, even if other people tell you it's normal. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to 3, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. Okay, so Dr. Kaisa, this is Brian.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Brian. I just finished the book and read all about you.
Oh, wow. Okay. You did.
Me and everybody else. You had no idea you were going to be such a star, did you?
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I'm glad you read it. So you enjoyed it, or what'd you think of it?
I really loved it. Jessica, it was really, really great. Like,
Good.
I can say that so freely because I had no problem I was up at night, 3 nights in a row trying to finish it. And it was so good.
I love that so much. You know, it's funny because people, when they read the introduction or when they just, read the back of the book or something, they say, was Brian okay with you writing this? Or did Brian know you were writing it? And I just think, first of all, of course he knows.
Well, yeah.
I would never write this without his knowledge. And of course he read, every draft and, approved everything. Brian was very vocal in the fact that he said, don't do it unless you share everything, because there would be people out there who have dealt with something similar who maybe if they didn't, have the mental side effects afterwards, if I didn't share that, and they were having it, they would be like, well, he didn't have it as bad as I do. And so, things like that. And so I was really grateful that he was so, willing to let me share everything. But everyone is asking, how is Brian now? And we have not met with, the Guru Doctor, unfortunately, is no longer with us. We miss him. We haven't met with the Aussie in a while, and we haven't met with your holistic doctor in a while. So we're probably due for a checkup.
Yeah.
And I'm still saying we. Do you hear me? I still say we. Brian is probably due for a checkup.
I love that you two were a part of that together, though. And I love that you're so open with it, Brian. Like that's really a vulnerable place to be. So I think it's really great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is. It is. And you're right. I do need to check back. I believe it was last summer that I went in and saw my holistic doctor, and we were going to do some tests. And then I was busy with work at the time, and it was on my end that I didn't get those tests done. So I'm long overdue for that. So I need to get that taken care of. But I feel great. So
I will say one thing that we have noticed is that Brian has always been like, he's that annoying person when you go to like his college reunion. He's still fit. He's still, all of that. But he was getting tired, and he a little tired. and just not maybe eating as much or something. And for the first time ever, now when I say this, I just need to make it clear that if anyone saw Brian right now, you would think he has a super flat stomach, FLAT. But for Brian, there's a little pudge, which is not normal. And he had his testosterone checked by our general family practitioner. And we got the results back and they said normal. That's all they said, normal. And so a few weeks later, I said to Brian, did you find out the actual number? Like what because the range is like, what was the range, Brian?
The range is huge.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. And so I started looking into this a little more and spoke with another friend of ours that we go to church with, who's a physician. And we were talking to another friend, just some guy talk one night. And I'm thinking, yeah, my doc told me I was normal. And he goes, yeah, well, normal is, as you said. So yeah, huge range here we're talking about for what normal is, but we'll just say I'm on the very low end of normal.
But he went to get the results back, and let's just say the range is 300 to 1200. Brian was like 331.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and they told you were normal? Like, this is the stuff that drives me crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and that's what our other friend of ours, who we were talking about this, two of us were talking to him, who's the physician. He's a surgeon. And he goes, well, yeah, I mean, a general physician, if it's in the normal range, they're going to tell you you're normal. But
they're looking at pathology. They're looking at, do we need to give something to get you out of the pathological range, not the functional range?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's something, I think that's where you were going with that. That's something. And then right as I had received this, looked into it further to look at my results and thought, okay, yeah, maybe that is something I want to check on. That's right when the whole, quarantine and shutdown happened. And so, you're not going to be able to go to the doctor right now to check out anything like that. So now as we're coming out of that, that's something I think that I'm going to be checking into that might help some of the tiredness, some of the little bit of pudge, as you said.
I mean, it's very little. I'm just saying it's not normal for him. But knowing that and knowing what you know from the book, like how would you follow up with him?
Well, I would want to see some lab work. I would want to see the hormones. I'd want to see what testosterone is. I'm curious about your blood sugar, and I'm curious about your thyroid. Have those been tested?
I'm not sure, but I do know that I know I've not done it. I mean, I don't know. Do you know if Jess, you were my advocate for so long. Do you know? I mean, when I was with my holistic doctor, we checked every.
But we were so focused. So this was really in the 2016 to 2017. We were just so focused on gut health that I just remember every level was depleted and all of that. But I don't know. I don't think he's done blood work recently.
Well, I have.
Oh, I was just going to say, because for so long you were chasing a very severe immune issue and inflammatory issue, I'd be curious to see what your hormonal system did because of that for that amount of time, So that might be some of the rebuilding that needs to happen right now. It might not be, but I'd be curious to see those numbers. What about symptom-wise, Brian? What do you experience now? Is digestive stuff, fatigue stuff? Are you fine? Brain fog? Is like any complaints around any of it?
That would be my thing lately, would just be maybe some of that, like fatigue, brain fog type of thing. And my general physician, I've spoken to him about that and don't really know where to go with that exactly. I do know that that's what made me step back and think about the testosterone thing, like, because he checked that a while back too. And that's when he was like, well, it's normal. And so, but now thinking maybe that might have something to do with it. But that would be some of I would think my symptoms, other than like digestive, doing very well. I still take, a handful of supplements that my doctor had me on, and I need to get back in and get blood work done, with her again and check on some of that and update that. But other than that, digestive is pretty good. I can tell that whenever, as far as eating habits, I still think I have this is obviously through all of this has improved my eating. I watch, very, very closely what I eat, but I've noticed that I do better eating smaller amounts, that definitely helps. I can't sit down and, eat, large amounts that won't set well with me. So
Do you happen to know your blood type, Brian?
I believe I'll have to go look back at that. I'm O negative, I think.
Negative. And then so I know you're gluten free now. How
Yes, ma'am.
about like corn? Do you do corn?
Some I do.
And how about dairy?
Not a ton. I don't do a whole lot of dairy. I used to be, the eat the cereal, drink the milk kind of guy, pretty much my whole life growing up, but I don't I that very little of that. Maybe my big weakness is on the sweet side is ice cream, and I don't do very much of that either, but every little bit of that. But I mean, what would you say, Jess? I don't do a whole lot of dairy, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. No.
And then as far as supplements go, what kind of things are you taking? Are you doing vitamin D?
Yes, I'm taking zinc, vitamin D. I'm taking just a good multivitamin. What else is down there that I'm taking? I can't think of the name of some of them right off the top of my head. But is there anything that you would think might be a good?
Well, I'm just kind of seeing what I see here. So I definitely think there is, as I kind of go through and see, I'm assuming adrenal. I do get some adrenal issues. And again, that could just be from being so sick for so long, and your body
Sure.
so depleted, just trying to heal itself, or just trying to even being sick creates a stress response. So I think having that for so long, and that's some of the fatigue and maybe even the brain fog that's happening, also creating a little bit of a hormonal thing. I do get more of a blood sugar instability, adrenal instability. I do get low testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gut still wants a little bit extra support. So I'd be curious to see if are you doing any kind of enzyme? Are you doing postbiotics, glutamine, any kind of gut healing?
I was taking the L-glutamine, I
Uh-huh,
think is what it
uh-huh.
was. Yeah, I was taking that. Trying to think if
There was
that was.
also something that Dr. Kaisa gave me that I was supposed to take for 2 weeks. It was that stuff that tasted horrible. Do you remember that?
Was that the adrenal tonic?
No, it was gluta something.
Butyric acid.
And it was it came in a white jar and it was brown powder.
Oh, so maybe glutagenics?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was taking some of that. I used some of that for a while.
I used it for those 2 weeks and then I gave it to Brian. Probably not the smartest thing, but you used that for a minute.
As a powder. Yeah, that powder stuff. Yeah, I mean, I did. And, every now and again, I probably once for the past 2 years, I've had kind of a little bit of a setback little flare up, if you would call it that, kind of around the first of the year, the past 2 years. And I would start taking MPS Gold. Is that what we called that? It was a powder. It's like an aloe.
Oh, it's like an aloe one. That's the one the doctor put you on.
The Australian doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would order that online and start taking, a dose, the daily dose of that and mixing that in. And that, would kind of help calm down. And I've also still have the probiotic, it's a prescription based probiotic. There's a powder that my doctor had that I still have some of that I keep. And I would take a little, start mixing that in a little bit with that MPS, and that would, over a week or two kind of start, to calm that down a little bit. And obviously really strict on the diet, as far as very, very strict on cutting things out.
And I think too, Dr. Kaisa, one of the things that I am concerned about is when was that? 2018 maybe? When Brian, I was just like, listen, it's normal that you've just been through this crazy hurricane of health issues and now you're getting better. It's going to be normal that mentally you're just now really being able to live it, And so I wish so badly that we had gone to an actual mental health doctor and not our family practitioner. practitioner, but we went to our family practitioner and now we know better. But he put you on a very, very low dose of, what is it?
Oh, just an antidepressant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look back and see which one
But
we had
he
put on at the
recently
time.
tried to get off of it.
Mhm.
And then there was like you found yourself being really impatient
Mhm.
and you didn't like being off of it. But I know you also don't want to be dependent on it.
Yeah. So what he did is we were on an extremely low dose, but we even cut down even further than that. It's like a very, very, very low. I'm just going to do that for probably another several months and then go back.
Well, it's true. I mean, because you have some catching up to do. When your body's in coping mode, it can only do a few things at a time, So I think taking your time trying to figure out how to come off of that and that there's no rush. There's plenty of time to come off that. How old are you, Brian?
I'll be 38 on the 1st of June.
Okay. So, how about anti-inflammatory stuff? Turmeric, fish oils, boswellia. Are you doing any anti-inflammatory stuff?
None of that right now.
Yeah, I think I still pick up on some inflammation. And so I would think, I also see, so D, I would be curious of your levels. And I think now because of your gut issues and because I feel a little inflammation in your gut, I sell a product called, I think it's called Green Pastures Fermented Cod Liver Oil. But the fermented fish oil, because it's easier on the gut.
You should see his face right now. He is so excited.
That sounds delicious.
It is disgusting, but they're in a capsule. They're in a capsule. The company tries to make like liquid versions for kids, and I'm like, no kid is going to take this stuff. But they're in a capsule, and then I have my patients stick them in the freezer because then they don't smell as bad. They're not as bad as they sound. I mean, they are. They're in a capsule.
They sound terrible.
But it's great when there's gut issues because you can digest them easier. They're fermented. So the body it really helps the gut, and it has all the beneficial facts of what the fish oils do. Great for the brain, great for inflammation, great for hormone balancing. So some Green Pastures is the name of it, and it's the fermented cod liver oil. And again, I would put you, because you're not in my office and I don't get to totally watch you, I always say start slow and build up. But I would even think like 6 a day would be really good for you. You got to start dealing with that inflammation a little bit more. I think it's there.
Sure.
So I would add some fish oils slowly to make sure you can handle it. I think that would be really great for your brain. I also think a lot of research is going into postbiotics these days. So there's prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics. Probiotics are all the fiber that we do. Probiotics are what your doctor gave you the prescription for. But the postbiotics kind of act as a fertilizer in the gut for your body to grow its own probiotics. So instead of us guessing which probiotic our body wants, the postbiotics really just help our body start to make it. And so like butyric acid is a postbiotic. Acetic acid is a postbiotic. I do think you could start introducing those slowly as well to really start increasing your tolerance to different things.
Now the butyric, I was going to say the butyric acid, that came to my mind a little bit ago. That was one that I've been taking.
Oh, okay.
For some time now.
Okay.
My doctor told me to take 2 of those like after meals.
Yeah, good.
To help with digestion, and those I can definitely tell, especially if I know, I've eaten a little heavier meal than normal. Take a couple of those, and it definitely helps.
Okay, good.
Okay, so summer 2019, imagine me waking up at 5 a.m., taking my kids to the gym while I work out with my trainer, going to the pool, playing blocks on the living room floor, and then wham, totally out of energy by 4 p.m. Crawling into bed in my Christmas pajamas. I was already doing all the energy boosting things I could think of. Then my nutritionist told me about Bee Powered from Beekeeper's Naturals. I just take a spoonful of the Bee Powered superfood honey every morning, and I'm not kidding. I see a huge difference. I know not everyone can have a nutritionist, but anyone can get this superfood honey, and I'm making it even more accessible for you. If you use the link in my show notes or simply go to zimmermanpodcast.com/bee, you'll get 15% off your order from Beekeeper's Naturals. So if you're a tired entrepreneur or foggy-brained parent, you need this stuff. Again, go to zimmermanpodcast.com/BEE.
The foods, I would take you off of corn products as well. When we're looking at when there's a gluten sensitivity, then there's what we call cross-reactive foods. So foods
Okay.
that have a very similar molecular makeup of gluten.
Okay.
Dairy is the number one cross-reactive food of gluten, and corn is a really high contender as well.
Okay.
I think corn's not great. Now, again, I doubt you're doing a ton of it, but dairy and corn and gluten, especially when you're in a flare and you're already kind of having some issues show up, I would take those out. And again, when you're in a flare and you eat something your body doesn't like, the inflammatory reaction can go 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
So one bite of a food that your body's not liking can create a 3 to 6 month inflammatory reaction.
That's what happened when you had that bite of that donut in San Diego.
Yeah. So even though somebody will come in and say, "Gosh, I don't even know. No, I haven't had gluten all week," but we're talking even a month ago.
Okay, I've got to share this with you because I'm like, this did happen. So in November, so when was this? Like 9 months ago, 8 months ago, I don't know. We went to San Diego and the kids got these donuts, which is very rare. We don't do gluten in the house hardly ever. And Brian hadn't had gluten in years, and he took one bite of this donut. I didn't see it. If I had seen it, it wouldn't have happened. But
It was actually a couple bites.
oh, you took it. Oh, no, that's freaking out.
And it was a large donut.
Oh,
Who
you
can
had a
who
bite.
can have one bite of a donut?
He just thought, okay. But was it that night or the next day?
It was actually like it started to set in the next day, and then like 2 days after,
He
my back.
fell on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
His back, he could not move. I am trying really hard to lift him to get him into bed. But
What I did was I bent down. The kids were in the bathtub, and I've never had like back issues or somebody like I've been with someone who's like, oh, I threw my back out. Like I bent over and like they literally couldn't stand up. Like they're like hunched over, and it's like they're like my back's like I could. That's what happened. Like I bent over like down. It was one of those little low bathtubs. I'm like basically kneeling on the floor, and it just like it shot up through my back like it got like a catch, and like I literally it like put me on the floor basically, and I'm laying on my back, and my kids are looking at me like, Dad, what is wrong? And I'm like, go get your mother. I cannot stand up.
and I immediately go, did you eat gluten?
It did. It was like spasms going through which I've had those before when I was going through all this, so I knew what was going on.
Yeah, it brought me right back when I saw him in that
Because
position.
I've had those spasms before through my lower back, like with the colon and the with like your lower intestines and all that. With my doctor telling me that's what was going on, and I knew right away, and I felt like an idiot that's.
But no, that was 6 months ago. That was 6 months ago.
It was.
It's just not worth it.
That's what happens though, because the body says, "Oh, invader. Okay, stop doing what we're supposed to be doing to attack this invader."
Yeah. Yes.
So when there's flares, you got to be really careful with the cross-reactive foods as well. There are tests that I love through a lab called Cyrex Labs, and they show where do you fit on this whole gluten thing, and if that is a thing, then what cross-reactive foods do you need to be careful about? So there are lab tests that actually do show that. And or I tell people to kind of just try taking it out for at least 30 days to see. A lot of my patients will take foods out for a few weeks and say, no, it didn't do anything. But you have to really wait till you get through an inflammatory cycle to really tell if it's going to do anything or not.
Sure.
So I would be careful with cross-reactive, especially especially corn and dairy for you. So I think that product that Australian doctor gave you, the aloe, I think that is needed a little bit of fish oils is needed. Your
Okay.
postbiotics are showing up as a good thing right now. Um, and you do show a little immune reaction going on, and it might be because when do you think you had a flare up, so to speak?
It would have been after the first of the year again, I would say sometime in January, maybe.
So it's been a little while. And then I think some adrenal support. And again, I would wait to see you guys can email me your lab work and let me just peek at it. And or if you get new lab work, let me peek at it because I do think there's some endocrine imbalances. I'd be curious of your thyroid, of the hemoglobin A1C to kind of see an average of your blood sugar.
Hmm.
And I would like, and again, testosterone, I think we should take a closer look at, but I think a little adrenal support to help your fatigue right now. What kind of workouts, Brian?
Several times a week, I would say I'll run several miles, probably 4 times a week. I would say I'd give myself that. I try to do a little bit every day, and then just a little light weight training. I'll do that about every other day. But, a full body kind of workout, light dumbbells, things like that.
And you feel good after a workout.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. And you don't feel fatigued from them.
No, absolutely not. Definitely energized after that. A little sore the next day. That body's not as young as it used to be.
And so that's good. A little post workout soreness is okay.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I'm kind of getting a little bit of that inflammatory reaction. So, have you ever done turmeric?
I've had it just in juices and things like that. We used to buy, orange juice with turmeric in it and things like that. But I'm trying to think if I ever took
You're probably
turmeric.
used to seeing it in the cabinet because Dr. Kaisa put me on turmeric
Okay.
for a little bit.
Yeah. So I definitely have not. That was never in my regime. That never came into any of the supplements that I was on. No.
Okay, so I'm just trying to see if I add in the fish oils, do you need the turmeric? I think a little supplemental turmeric would work. Now, when I add turmeric in, I have you take about 1,000 milligrams a day. And if that feels good, stay there. If you feel like, if anywhere from 1 to 2,000 milligrams is a therapeutic dose of turmeric. So, especially somebody with previous gut issues like yourself, I'd say just go slow with all of it. You just kind of go slow so you can find the sweet spot without upsetting anything. Um, but I do think the fermented cod liver oil and the turmeric will start to deal with your inflammation. Taking away the corn, gluten, dairy is going to help with that. Your aloe product, your postbiotics are showing a good thing. And I would throw you on a little bit of a glandular adrenal just to go in. It's basically bovine adrenal. And so you take it and it kind of feeds your adrenals to kind of catch up to where they used to be and kind of gets you moving again.
Okay.
Blood pressure generally low, high, normal.
I've always had great blood pressure.
When they say great, do you know if it runs low? They
Um,
say, oh, great, nice and low.
ah, yeah, I don't know. It's just always good. Yeah, I've never had an issue with it, so I don't know. Again, I guess that goes into the whole when I say, "How's my testosterone?" "Normal," you know? So it's good. So what exactly is it? Yeah. So I've had doctors and nurses when they do that go, "Oh, wow, that's good." Like they always it's just I've always been told it's great, so I've never had an issue with that at all.
And then you said zinc is something you are taking along with D.
I do take that. I do take zinc. I take a vitamin, methyl protect. That is a methylation support formula. She's got me on that, and then zinc glycinate,
It's called broccoli.
broccolon, and then vitamin D3. Yeah, so those are the main ones I'm on, and then I've been out of that butyric acid, and so I need to order some more of that because that's really been.
Yeah.
And there was what was that she gave me to take? if I'm going to be like eating out in case there's like traces of
Glutenese.
glutenese.
Yep, good. Good. That's good
Glutenese.
for you to have on hand.
Yeah. So, and I'm currently out of that as well. So I need to restock on some things. So this is good timing to have this
Yeah.
conversation.
See, things work out for you, Brian. Okay, so let's see. The butyric acid, the glutenase, you definitely need, I think, a little anti-inflammatory protocol between the fermented cod liver oil and some turmeric. Really being careful with corn and dairy. And I think besides the anti-inflammatory, I would add in a glandular adrenal. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would put you on, go through like a small bottle, maybe even couple small bottles. So like a month or two of a little adrenal support. That's not something you stay on. I do think you need a little help in that way.
Sleeping with a Stranger is officially available everywhere books are sold in hardcover, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Since the book's launch, I've been amazed by how it's been received. From being named a bestseller by USA Today, The Wall Street Journal, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, to incredibly personal and touching reviews from my amazing readers. It's been such a wild journey. Here's one of my favorite reviews. I love the honesty of this book. It is real and raw and doesn't hold back. And that is why it is so mesmerizing. I could relate on so many levels, and I know it must have been so hard to write about many of these very personal and taboo topics. I couldn't put the book down. It was such an easy and enlightening read. I highly recommend this to anyone who is soul searching or just looking for some perspective. Truth is better than fiction. I can't wait to share this story with you. To get your copy, go to jessicazimmerman.com today or wherever books are sold. And to make sure you get all my upcoming book tour updates, join the newsletter list now.
One thing that I tell my patients all the time is to put your hand on your heart and you say, and I got this from a book, so it's not me, is you ask yourself the question, if I am truly and deeply loving myself, do I allow myself to experience this right now? So for every yes you give, or for every no you give to any question of the day, it could be, do I want to go on a picnic? It could be, what do I want for dinner? It could be, do I answer that phone call right now? If you put your hand on your heart and you say, if I'm truly and deeply loving myself, is this a yes or is this a no? If I have to take care of me, and if you kind of say to yourself, Brian, I'm not leaving you again. I love you, Brian. What do you need from me right now? And that might be, I'm not going to answer that phone call because that's going to be about that person. And I really need to sit with myself right now. Like you just say, or every time if you're feeling like a flare up coming, whose emotions am I carrying? And or what emotions am I not allowing myself to feel? So what am I running from within myself? Or whose emotions am I making more important than mine? And why am I self-abandoning right now?
So good. Even yesterday, I was kind of, we had a wonderful morning, and then Brian just was like, I'd gotten a new book and he was I was reading. He was playing with the kids and he played with the kids and I was reading my book. And then he came in the back and with me and he was laying down and the kids kept coming to him and kept coming to him. And I kept telling him, just tell them that you need some time to yourself. Like that is okay. He wants to please them, so he'll go out and he'll play even more and play even though he doesn't want to. And I believe that the best thing we can do for our children is be the best version of ourselves. And I believe it's our responsibility to teach them, no, when you become a dad one day or a mom one day, that doesn't mean you kill yourself for your kids
Yeah.
and go, go, go.
Yeah.
We need to teach them, no, we have played and now daddy needs to just be by himself for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And I think that that's a learned behavior from childhood of just wanting to please.
Please, and keep it easier on everybody else. And let me show you how much I self sacrifice. We self sacrifice because we want to make everybody happy around us and make their lives easier. But it's really kind of an inability to receive, it's an inability to really heal. It's an inability to say, I'm worthy of saying no to that right now. I think parenting is a perfect example of that. I see so many people self sacrifice to fill the role of mom or dad, and it's not serving our kids to stand in their power and to take care of them and to realize that they're the bosses of their bodies and they can say no to something. And self care first, to have the capacity to even truly give, to be fully present with your kids when you are giving because you've already spent some time alone or you drew healthy boundaries. That's really a self-love thing, but you've been taking care of people from even when you were a little boy. And so that's going to be practice. That's going to be practicing putting that back together and just checking in of, is that really if I'm taking care of myself right now, is that a yes or a no?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm loving myself and I'm allowing myself to fully become who I'm supposed to be, who God intended me to be, is that a yes or a no? And making your decisions that way rather than, I want you to feel good about you. I want you to feel acknowledged. I want you to know that you're important to me. So I'm going to say yes, because I think there's too much of that going on in the world right now. And so, especially as you're healing, your body's talking to you. Whenever you have a little bit of a setback, you have to kind of check back in and say, what am I not paying attention to? How am I self-abandoning? What am I not focusing on? What do I need to, go back to that little 7-year-old? And it sounds so corny, but go back to that 7-year-old boy and kind of sit next to him and say, what do you need, buddy? I'm right here. Do you need me to hear you? Do you need to cry? Do you need to go take a weekend away? Not that anybody can go do that right now, but it's really self-parenting yourself. It's really going in and really doing some inner child care. And it doesn't have to be this big. It can just be, it can start today of, I'm going to acknowledge that I put other people's needs in front of my own, and I'm going to start changing that today.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're used to that. And it's coming out as this kind of like a little bit of a dark cloud, kind of like a little bit of a wet blanket that you feel stifled. It's just a grief of what else can go wrong? What else is about to go wrong? I can't say no. I got to take care of everybody else. I can't pretend. I can't be sick right now without being self-conscious about it, because you're supposed to be all these other things according to your expectations of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The body's illnesses are just ways to get your attention to do some deep, deep healing.
Oh, this is so good.
That is good. Absolutely.
See, now you're not regretting all my incense buying and meditation.
Just smoke some sage. Just put that on.
Oh, wow.
Fine.
I've got some Palo Santo coming. I've got sage. We're going to cleanse everything.
You have several boxes
Oh,
arrived.
they've come in. Brian just said I have several boxes that arrived. They've come in.
Yeah, one of them has all this happy, like writing all over the side. Like, I forget what it is. It has to be it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it is.
That makes so much sense now.
Dr.
Kids will have fun with that. My kids have so much fun using Palo Santos around my house and kind of smudging. So, be involved.
I can't wait. This has been so helpful. I have now taken up all of your time. I'm so grateful. We are for sure following up with you.
Absolutely.
This has been so, so great. And you guys have heard, if you're listening, you've heard, this is what Dr. Kaisa did for me. Now she's done this for Brian. It's insane. It's incredible. If people want to reach out to you, how do they find you?
Well, go to my website, which is, my clinic name is Harmony Wellness Clinic. And it's harmonywc.com. And there's, kind of see if there's blogs, there's all kinds of stuff on that site. And then if you're interested in being a new patient, it'll tell you how you click on a thing. I'm trying to think if it's Harmony. I'm like, what is my website? harmonywc.com.
That is perfect. Brian, do you have anything else?
No, like I said, you know me, I'll talk us in more circles, and we'll be on here another half hour.
Oh, I love it, Brian, and I love your Southern accent too. Again, I'm from the South, so your voice reminds me of my brother, and so it's really
Oh,
cool.
great. Well, no, it was very nice meeting you,
Yeah, you
and
too.
I enjoyed that, and I echo what Jessica said. We will be following up, absolutely.
Absolutely. I took a couple notes, so I know what we're doing on the next time around, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Absolutely.
Isn't Dr. Kaisa incredible? I love how she listens to her patients and responds with intuitive suggestions. If you listened to this and felt permission, maybe for the first time, to take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, your inner child beyond what your doctor, your friends, or even your family describe as normal, I encourage you to listen to the ways your body is leading you to potential healing. In the coming weeks, let's work on trusting and listening to ourselves. And if you need more insight from Dr. Kaisa, check her out at harmonywc.com. And I'll see you back here next week on Zimmerman Podcast.